Booty Butt Boy, Decay. By Haiku Origami. It seems like it's always something with this city. One minute you're courtside watching the ballers whoop the champs, the next it's pandemonium. Booty pushed the thought to the back of his mind. Pressing his face into his palms, he groaned. Alone, he sat against a basketball hoop where skeletons riddled the cracked court. Head up, he pushed himself off the ground and looked around to see his worst fear fully realized. Soot rained from a reddened sky. Buildings collapsed under the weight of despair, breaking through the night's silence. Off in the distance, Booty noticed a streak of light shooting towards the heart of the city. Adjusting his goggles, sights zooming in 200%, he saw two figures collide. "Twin, who's fighting?" he muttered, reaching into his inventory. Analyzing. That would be Millennial and an unknown entity. Great. Leave it to a big-time superhero to let it come to this. Pulling out a miniature black hole disc, he went to throw it down when he heard sobbing. Pinpointing the sound, he made his way to the middle of the street where a little girl dragged a blanket behind her. Her face was covered in ash and her dress was tattered at the hemline. When she saw Booty, she coughed and fainted. Catching her before she hit the ground, he hoisted her in his arms. Propping her on the hood of a nearby taxi, he pulled out his canteen and splashed her. "Hey," she cried, drying her face with her sleeve. "That was very rude." "You're right," he admitted. "Thing is, I don't care. I gotta get you to safety and I'm not gonna be carrying you around all day." "My hero," she snarked, leaning forward. "What even happened?" Booty pointed south towards Millennial's battle with the villain. Power surged around them, causing distortions in reality, glitches in space-time. Then they both vanished. Gritting his teeth, Booty became visibly upset. The girl watched as he started to fiddle with his wrist piece. Pulling up a hologram, he tuned into a news broadcast. "It is a dark day indeed. We have just received confirmation that half of Royal City has been decimated by a mysterious figure who appeared only an hour ago. The world's greatest hope attempted to avenge our nation's capital, but what you just saw could only spell trouble." "Yeah, no dip," Booty chided, cutting the feed. "Listen, you probably lost your parents, and believe me, I know what that's like, but right now we have to be strong." "I'm only 6. I don't know how to be strong yet," she replied, tears forming in her eyes. "Well then, just stay close and follow my lead." "Okay." Setting the disc on the ground, he prepared to jump in it, but instead of activating it, spit out cosmic residue and remained inactive. Uncharacteristically quiet, Booty threw his head back, then started walking. Behind him, the little girl waddled to catch up. Feeling a tug on his sleeve, he turned to see that her shoes were untied. "Can you fix them?" she asked, wiping her tears with her blanket. Kneeling down, he began to loop bunny ears, knotting the laces tight so that they wouldn't come undone again. Placing a hand on her shoulder, he made a goofy face by sticking out his tongue. The girl smiled, though it quickly faded when lightning flashed across the sky. As rain poured, Booty hurried them to shelter inside a bus stop that had been untouched by collateral. In fact, this entire side of the street was pristine, as if the cataclysm had a radius. "You got a name, kid?" he asked, brushing the dirt off her dress. "Sasha," she mumbled. "I have school tomorrow." "Right, school. Remember when I said your parents died?" "I don't want to talk about it." "I wouldn't either, but maybe I was wrong. What do you remember before everything went bad?" I was walking my puppy to the park, and then there was a rumble and I dropped the leash." "So your parents weren't with you. Kinda irresponsible, but still good news. Do you know your address?" 222 King's Place, over by the hospital." "Got it." Entering the location into his navigation system, he pumped his fist and started walking. Stopping in his tracks, he looked back to see the girl hadn't moved. Extending his hand, she ran up and grabbed it. The two continued towards Sasha's house, rain dousing them as time passed. Although this side of the city was untouched, it was clearly evacuated as there wasn't a single soul in sight. Vehicles were left unattended, having crashed into each other. Covering a mile, Booty checked to see how much further they had to go. 20 minutes. Geez, kid, which park were you going to? I got distracted, she confessed, putting her head down. It's fine, just this would be easier if my stuff was working. Your booty butt boy, right? That's me, everybody's favorite babysitter. My dad talks about you all the time. He said kids aren't supposed to play with the kind of toys you use. Of course he did. Hey, how about we play the quiet game? At that very moment, reality rippled as an ominous figure appeared in the sky above. Hovering, hood draped over his face, he laughed. His voice boomed, drowning out thunder until he regained his composure. Ions bounced around him, amalgamating in his raised palm. I am rot, he began, lightning bending around him. I am ruin, I am decay. With that, he released the energies in his hand towards the city below. Spreading into a wave, all was bathed under ionic pressure. Booty gasped. Impending doom triggered his built-in force field, negating the effect. Rust spread across metals, plant life withered, bricks became dust. Booty could do nothing but watch as Royal City became a graveyard. Hugging his waist, Sasha whimpered. I want to go home, she said softly. Booty sighed. Picking her up, he slung her across his back and jogged toward a tunnel. Lights flickered to a pop, giving way for darkness to creep in. Tapping his wrist piece, he enabled a flashlight, illuminating their pathway, revealing rubble sprinkling down before them. Concern found its way on Booty's face as he realized his mistake. Turning to exit the tunnel, it caved in upon itself on both ends. Becoming frantic, the hero looked around for an escape when he spotted a service ladder. Bad idea, but it's our only option, he spat, running towards the shaft. Foot on the first rung, he reached up for the second, Sasha's grip tightening around his neck. Picking up the hustle, he reached the access hatch, attempted to push up on it, but it was locked from the other side. Rocks and dirt flooded the area below them, forcing Booty to act hastily. Using the laser on his wrist piece, he melted the lock mechanism, opened the hatch and climbed out before they could be swallowed whole. Rolling onto the sidewalk, he caught his breath. Sasha stood up to look out over the north side. There's my house, she said, pointing it out, the big blue one. Then let's keep moving, he said, digging into his inventory. Extracting his hoverboard, he boarded it, scooped her up, then jetted towards the neighborhood. Sprayed by rain, they came to a stop just outside Sasha's door, which was cracked open. Climbing down from Booty's back, she walked in. Light from the television lit up the room, however no one seemed to be home. Booty trudged in behind her, wiping his boots on the welcome mat. Hello, he called out, but no one answered. Making his way down the hall, he peeked into the master bedroom where he saw two corpses putrefying. Looking away, his heart dropped to his stomach. Going to close the door behind him, he was too late as Sasha had pushed by and bore witness to the worst. Horrified by the scene, she dropped to her knees and wept. All Booty could do was sit beside her, pull her in and hold her. Sasha, I can't make this better, but I can stop him, Booty assured, his tone more serious. Is that so? Decay said from behind. And just how are you going to do that when you're just a kid yourself? Turning around to face him, Booty pushed Sasha aside and raised his wrist piece. Blasting away, lasers zipped through the air only to disperse into nothingness before reaching the villain. Smiling, he tilted his head to the side and glared at Sasha, who was cowering in the corner. Booty rushed towards her, grabbed her in his arms and ran into the closet and closed the door. Rummaging through his inventory, he grabbed a black hole disc. The door started to crumble, and before Booty could use his gadget, Sasha had fallen to the floor. Her skin became flaky, falling off bone until she was nothing but a skeleton, then that too decayed. You're heartless, he shouted, dropping the black hole disc. Leaping into the vortex, it opened up on the ceiling. Dropping down, he landed on Decay's shoulders. Pulling the strings on his hoodie, he blinded the villain. Tying the strings together, he hopped off, fell into another portal that opened up in the hall. Getting a running start, he dashed back in while Decay tried to regain his sight. Foot cocked back, Booty struck the villain's groin. Yelping, Decay dropped to his knees. Grabbing a lamp, Booty went to bash him upside his head, but it dematerialized in his hands. No, Booty cried, having been caught in a wave of corrupted energies. His force field flickered, dying out, leaving him completely exposed. Decay rose to his feet, emotionless, his hands twitching. It was all or nothing now. Booty started walking backwards. Putting a hand against the wall, he activated another black hole disk that grew to the point it consumed the entire house. Pulled inside the vortex, he and Decay fell through the in-between. Holding Booty by his pant leg, his touch caused the fabric to loosen. Strands ripped and the material gave way, sending Decay tumbling through darkness. An opening came to be, and Booty was back where the house had been. Standing alone in the vacant lot, a tear rolled down his cheek. A few minutes of heavy breathing went by when from the sky descended the hero known as Millennial. His form radiated a golden hue that brightened the night. Stepping to Booty, his presence warm, he patted him on the back. "You did good, Booty." "I failed." "I can see how you would think that, Boo." "That was one of your villains," Booty snapped. "You should have stopped him. Now look at the city. Look at what happened. I watched a little girl die and you think I did good." Millennial didn't say anything. Instead, he turned away, took in the misdeed, and simply waved his hand. Within seconds, all the damage that had been done by Decay was reversed. The house was restored around them, as was Sasha and her parents, who both looked on in surprise. "Honey, why is Millennial in our kitchen?" the wife asked. "Booty, you did it," Sasha joyed, running over to hug him. "Sasha, I told you to stay away from him," her dad scolded, pulling her back. "Look, I don't know what's going on here, but you both need to leave or else I'm calling the authorities." "Be at ease, Mr. Sanders, we mean you no harm," Millennial informed. Booty observed the family, glanced at Millennial, and then at Sasha, who was making a goofy face, sticking out her tongue. All he could do was smirk and shake his head. The dad raised an eyebrow, stepping forward to reprimand him when Booty simply walked away. "Word of advice, keep a better eye on your kid," he suggested, turning back to wink at Sasha. She grinned and waved at him as he walked out the door. Outside, the city was lively. Millennial had worked his magic and everything was back to normal. Well, as normal as it can get in this town anyway.